I'm empty, and this is going to be a video where I'm not going to be flying, but I'm going to be going over my kneeboards as requested by other people. So inside my kneeboard folder, it's going to be inside your save games and then your DCS. I still had the DCS open beta and then kneeboards, and then your aircraft specifically. This is going to be the A10's specific file path for it. Okay, so going in, I've got my unit-specific kneeboards here. These are ones that I've downloaded directly from my unit, but then I just keep it as a backup here. And then I edit the names in order to get them to sequence the way I want them to. After that, I've got a Nellis and then a Mariana's map, and that's going to be specific approach and departure plates for both of those maps, and different cards that our units use in order to actually fly on those maps. And then I've got a SAM set of kneeboards. I've got two different ones, my own personal one I made, which is this one here, and then this one. Different information on both. This one is more a generic one for any type of aircraft, whereas the one I made specifically is for the A10 overall, and I'll get into that one later. This one provides at least an image so you can VID with that specific asset. In addition, I've got these ground VID kneeboards as well, and if you just look through, it gives you a nice visual representation and what type of firepower it has. You got a color version and then more of an IR version, going through all the different things. These color versions, they actually go into the different larger SAM systems, whereas the IR ones goes through just the shore ads for it. Okay, now getting into my specific kneeboards that I run with every single mission. That's going to be my checklist ones, which are here. And then part of those checklist ones, it's my RWR tables. Help me understand there is some jammer information for specifically for the A10's jammer there. And then keybinds, or well, the HOTAS functionality, weapons, and then you have the wind corrections, and then the jammer modes and countermeasure system programs. This is going to be a quick start. If you need to do a quick flow through the aircraft, this is a recommended flow, to each their own. And then the ones that are highlighted blue shows you the quick start sequence, which is my usual flow for like making sure everything's set. So sweet. And then getting into my emergency checklist, I've got several emergency checklists. This is going to be if I have to do a mid-air restart of an engine. Obviously, if you have engine damage, you're not going to be doing a restart because it won't restart because of the damage. There's two different types of restarts. There's the APU start, and then there is the windmill start. You have single engine landing checklist, making sure that you are set up for that to the max extent possible. The only problem is if you're doing a single engine landing, you should be expecting that you have a hydraulic failure and that you'll have to be able to understand what you lost with the hydraulic failure in order to land and stop safely. Gear failure, different information if you have a landing gear extension failure versus no landing gear at all on what you're going to do. Then I have my unit specific standard contracts, flightly checklists and / briefings, make sure, and our standard TRP, tactical recovery procedure. So that's going to be high altitude coming down. And then I get into my mission specific kneeboards. So this is for CAS. This is an overall roll through of the CAS information with examples, basic examples in here. And then I've got a light version or a bright version of similar things with the whole 12-step process of CAS. Then I've got an in-flight report. This is going to be specifically for after DT taskings or CAS taskings that you're going to pass back to C2. Call sign, mission number, target location, time, and results. And the results you can also throw in as kind of remarks as weapons expended. Then we get into a CSAR or Combat Search and Rescue 15 line. So I might do some videos on this later on in order to explain CAS a little bit further. But you've got line 1, which is going to be jack and radios, line 2, which is going to be the number of personnel, so you could actually have more. And by jack, I meant call sign. Location, source, and date and time. Condition, equipment, what type of devices they have, HHRID, which most people in DCS have no idea what that is. They just put it on there. Authentication, threats, and then you have, for execution, the pickup zone, on-scene commander with the frequency that they can be contacted on, recovery vehicle information and number, IP and / ingress point, the rescort that's going to be supporting those rescue vehicles, the objective area game plan. This is going to be a combination of both the A10's execution around jack and then also the helo's execution, or whatever the recovery vehicle is, execution. Com, and then signal, mainly signal here for line 14, and then egress. And then last but not least is the threat table. This is probably the most asked for thing, which I will include this. This is my own personal kneeboard that I made using a Google spreadsheet. So you got the standard SA2, SA3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 15, 19. So those are going to be your standard SAM systems with the HQ7 as a Chinese variant. And then you have manpads of SA8, 18, and 24. So manpads, AAA are all in here. Then I have NATO systems as well, in case, like specifically, like the Hawk is technically a NATO system, but the Iranians use it. So you could have that as a potential threat. And the Roland is extremely proliferated to different countries. And then these asterisk items down here are going to be your high-digit SAMs. If you're running the high-digit SAM mods, you could see these, and these are going to be recommendations. It doesn't, unlike the other checklist that I showed before, or kneeboard that I showed before for threats, it doesn't give you an identifier on how dangerous these are. FYI, if you're in the A10 and it's not an IR SAM, it's pretty dang dangerous. Unless it is SA8. SA8's like the one... SA8, 15, 19 are the three that you can kind of go up against radar-wise and SHORAD-wise, which those are the SHORADs. And that's mainly because you're looking at ranges of a 7.5, 6.5, and 4 nautical miles. These two, you can throw a bomb, a GPS-guided bomb, or APKWs. This one you can use a Maverick on. And if you look at the altitude, as long as you're not heavy, you can then fly over the top and drop a bomb onto it. And also the SA9 and 13, you have IR. So going through this table, I've got the threat name, their RWR indications, then the type of system. And I thought it was redundant to have AAA and then AAA again for the jammer. So I just left it as AAA. We all understand that these are AAA. So the jammer, and I know sometimes you don't get an AAA indication with the 57 or the Shilka sometimes because they're not using the radar, but this is if they're using the radar attached. So this is the recommended jammer for that specific type of SAM system. And then the countermeasure system, or countermeasure that's recommended for it, you have a minimum range. So if you get within this minimum range, they should not be able to fire at you. So with the SA2, if you're able to get in low underneath until all the way from 22 miles all the way into 3.8 miles. Once you get within 3.8 miles, they won't be able to shoot you because you're too close. And then I have a max altitude here. Biggest thing that I recommend is treat all IR, these IR missile systems. The Gopher and the HQ7 are going to be a lot higher. I treat the Gaskin or the SA9 and the Manpads as the same system. They are all short range to 2.5 miles up to 12,000. And this is AGL. So remember, if they're at 10,000 feet on the side of a mountain, they can technically shoot up to 22,000 feet. Okay? So those are things that you have to remember, that this is AGL, not MSL. So, I will have the link posted below for a lot of these kneeboards. I'll just post it onto DCS's website and then have the link on there as my own. It'll be like Empty's recommended kneeboards or something like that. I'll put the name in there. So hope you guys liked the video, and I want to give a shout out to @Nick BDA for the request for the video, and hope you like it.